Across the JAKIB Media YouTube network, day 4. It's the Eagles' day 4 recap, inside camp, with Football 24/7 NFL insider John McMullen, co-host of Birds 365, and a guy who's logging more minutes, more seconds, more minutes, more hours, and more miles the first 4 days of training camp than perhaps anyone else in the region. Right now, standing outside the NovaCare complex to deliver this updated report. John, welcome in. It was lights, camera, action tonight as the NFL Network took over in some way, shape, or form. But before we get to that part of the story, I imagine your opening synopsis from day 4 is going to deal specifically with the injury to Devonta Smith.
Yeah, a bit of a scare down here in South Philadelphia with Devonta Smith. Obviously, the Eagles' first-round pick, a big part of this team's plan on the offensive side of the football, did go down in discomfort. A low pass from Jalen Hurts. He went down to try and catch it. You know, it's interesting. I thought at first the trainers were looking at his hand. Turns out it was his leg. He had a leg injury. Um, he left the field, but he came back. Now they took his helmet, so that's a very good sign, because if there was any concern that it was something serious, he would have went inside the building. He came back out to watch practice, so that's a very, very good sign, early sign for the Eagles. And I apologize, and we're getting some drag racing here in South Philadelphia for everybody listening. But um, he's fine. The Eagles said after practice he's being evaluated. But the bottom line is, and I kind of gave you the wink, wink, if it was anything serious, he wouldn't have been back on the field. He was back on the field to watch the rest of practice. So I think the Eagles fans should breathe a sigh of relief.
John, did you see the injury as it occurred in real time? Did it look like it was a hard injury, an unusual injury? His leg or foot twisted in a different way? What did you see, if you had a chance to see it?
Yeah, no, I saw it. It was on the far side, though, away from the sideline. So it was a bit away, and that's where I said I thought he went down and maybe, trying to catch the football had jammed a finger, maybe even dislocated a finger. Turns out it was his leg. Maybe went down a little awkwardly. Probably just strained something. We'll get more clarification. But again, I can't stress this enough. If there's even a 1% chance of the Eagles thinking this was serious, they would have never let him back on the practice field to watch the rest of practice. So they're pretty confident it's not serious. That doesn't mean he's not going to miss some practices and some time, though, because they're going to be cautious this time of year.
We talked, of course, yesterday. You set the stage for everyone. Tonight was NFL night, as all 32 teams were in some way, shape, or form profiled across the league. What did it look like? When did it occur? And for those that didn't get an opportunity to see it, what did they miss?
Well, understand that was for the NFL Network viewers. I mean, as far as the Eagles, as far as we're live here, I mean, you have Ian Rappaport was here. You had Colleen Wolfe was here from the NFL Network. But there was no overtly difference. The biggest difference, it was Salute to Service Day. This was the practice. Typically, that happens at Lincoln Financial Field. They moved it to the NovaCare complex for this sort of televised affair. They're part of it. But understand, the NFL Network was going live at all NFL practices, all training camp practices. Everybody was involved. So it was just a bounce back and forth. As far as practice and just how it went, there was no real pomp and circumstance. There was no real difference from a typical Eagles practice.
Just from a curiosity standpoint, did the NFL Network go live when Devonta Smith went down with the injury?
Yeah, I mean, I have no way of knowing that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cameras uh, um, when you're watching a practice. Now, understand the first 20 minutes or so is open to media as far as taking pictures, video. Then it gets closed down. The difference is the NFL media, because they're a partner of the league, they can film whatever they want. So they're filming the entire time, but you really can't tell when they're going live as opposed to something. I would imagine if Devonta Smith goes down, they're going to cut in and they're going to talk about it. But I have no idea how it went on the television broadcast.
Football 24/7 NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's our Eagles Day 4 in-camp recap, John. Day 1, aggressive. Day 2, physical. Day 3, sloppy. Day 4, how would you characterize the session tonight?
Well, I think the one consistent part is the pace, and it's been very upbeat for um, the entirety of this 4 days, sort of this 4 day segment. And I think that's going to continue. Obviously, that's what Nick Sirianni believes in. They're very short practices by typical NFL standards, but they move very quickly. They get a lot of work done. So I don't think that's going to change. I think that's obviously going to be his philosophy. Um, but as far as how it's gone on the field, look, the offense is still trying to catch up to the defense. And I think that surprises a lot of people because they didn't, for two reasons. They didn't think the defense was going to be that good, especially the back seven. And they thought the offense would be a little bit better because of the playmaking ability of Miles Sanders and Devonta Smith. And people had high hopes for Jalen Hurts. Early on in the camp, it hasn't gone that way.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I cringed a little bit when you referenced, or we started the program or started the recap with your explanation on the Devonta Smith injury, meaning the play, and the reference to a low pass from Jalen Hurts. And I immediately started to process and try and think about a couple of the things that you have talked about in the first 3 days, and one being the ability to be consistent and make good throws. And it appears, unless I'm just overstating it, that Jalen is right now still struggling 4 days into camp.
Yeah, and I don't think that should be a surprise. I mean, that was a big talking point in the press conference with Nick Sirianni talking about the mechanics of Jalen Hurts. Look, when you don't have those mechanics locked down, that's what creates inconsistency. That's what creates accuracy issues. And I think that's where you are with Jalen Hurts. I think people forget he's a really young quarterback who's only started 4 NFL games, and he wasn't known as this high level sort of Trevor Lawrence like draft pick. So there was always going to be a learning curve, and I think you're seeing it play out in real time. One throw is great, and the next throw might be terrible. And that's what Nick Sirianni is trying to clean up. That's what Brian Johnson, the quarterback's coach, is trying to clean up. You want to get more consistency. And that's what the good quarterbacks flash in this league. And Jalen Hurts is still a work in progress, and he's going to be a work in progress.
Follow up on your conversation or your point on the defense, and I think you said it yesterday, John. Is the defense that good, or is the reality that the offense just doesn't have very much talent?
Yeah, I mean, that's the catch-22 because I have been impressed with the defense. I do think the defensive line is very good. I think it's very talented. I think Josh Sweat is ready to have a big season. I think Milton Williams as a rookie is going to be able to help as a rotational player. So if anything, they're getting better and more deeper on the defensive line. I think the Steven Nelson acquisition will quietly be one of the most important acquisitions for the Eagles. I talked about this domino effect. All of a sudden, you look at Steven Nelson and say, okay, he's pretty good. And that allows you to move Avonte Maddox inside to the slot. And you see how things are starting to fall into place. If Rodney McLeod is able to get back by week one, all of a sudden you start feeling pretty good about the secondary. I don't know if that's going to be the case ever about the linebackers. I think you're still going to struggle there. But overall, I think it's trending in a positive direction. Offensively, it's been bad the first 4 days overall. And as I said, Nick Sirianni is probably going to come back on Monday and say the defense won again, and that's going to be 4-0. And the offense has got to start stacking up some wins in this competition.
We're bringing John McMullen in via the phone because he's standing outside the NovaCare complex, tireless. The work just doesn't end. When you provide wall-to-wall coverage, it's our Eagles Day 4 camp recap with John McMullen. John, as expected, did head coach Nick Sirianni address the media tonight?
Yeah, he did. He actually addressed the media before practice. So before the session started about 5:05, Nick Sirianni took the podium, and that's where he let us in. And he said, yeah, the defense has been performing well. And he did mention the consistency issues with Jalen Hurts, and you're trying to improve. He mentioned the issues with Devonta Smith and sort of being in those tight windows and tight spaces, and guys like Darius Slay and Steve Nelson being very physical with him. So he's aware. It hasn't looked great aesthetically from the offensive side of the football. And that probably doesn't sit well with a guy who's an offensive head coach. So, the work doesn't stop for Nick Sirianni. He's going to continue to work on Sunday, the off day. And they got to get better. But that's what training camp is for.
I don't know if he was asked the question in that pre-practice meeting with the media. Did he identify anything that he's happy about?
Yeah, I mean, Nick's an upbeat guy. He's happy about everything. He's happy about making incremental improvements. The one thing about Jalen Hurts is I do think he's gotten a little bit better each day. He's gotten better from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. I think that continued in day 4. Day 1 was not good. So he was starting from a low point. I think if he started at day 4, you'd say, okay, there's something to work with, and we'll see how it continues. But again, I think the big concern here, and you kind of get it, is the consistency, is the play to play, the ups and downs, the drastic sort of EKG. If you think about an EKG, yeah, you might have the big high and the big low. And that's where Jalen Hurts is playing right now.
Any follow-up today, John, on Brandon Brooks? I know that he didn't practice yesterday and I guess was part of what was Veterans Day at practice on day 3. Was there even an update provided? Maybe there wasn't one that was even necessary. Was he on the field?
Yeah, he was on the field, and he's got a hamstring issue. He didn't practice, and that's understandable. They're going to, as I said, they're going to be very cautious with all the injured players. And Brandon is obviously a very important player, so they're not going to force him back on the field. The good news, same thing. He was on the field. He was watching practice. If it were serious, they wouldn't allow him on the field to watch practice. So it's one of those things where, yeah, he's hurt. Yeah, he tweaked his hamstring. Yeah, he's not available. But I wouldn't worry about it. He's online to be where he needs to be week 1. And I am going to say right here, Krause, because I don't want to lose you. My phone is nearing 0. So if I fall off, you know where I've gone. I've gone.
No,
I've gone into the abyss.
No, I appreciate you jumping on and trying to continue so we can get the information out on the day 4 camp recap. Johnny Mac, let's do one last thought before, let's do two before we run out of phone power if we can quickly. Is it still confirmed on Monday, or do you know, is it now confirmed on Monday, do they put on the pads?
No, Nick Sirianni confirmed sort of off to the side after his press conference. Tuesday is going to be the first day in pads. Tuesday. So Monday is the first day back after. And there's another. I'm dealing with a lot here. So they're going to be back on the practice field Monday, but the pads are not on until Tuesday.
And last thought, Johnny Mac, through your lens, through the John McMullen lens, what was the one observation that you took away from the night practice this evening?
Well, I give out my game ball every day on Sports Illustrated here on the show, training camp tonight, Birds 365, JAKIB Media. I'm giving it to Craig James tonight. There's another corner. He played very well, very sticky in coverage. So now the Eagles, and I mentioned Steve Nelson, what he's been able to do with Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox with the starters. Now they're starting to build up a little bit of depth because Craig James, look, he's had some injury problems, but when he's out there, he can cover people.
John McMullen, Football 24/7, our NFL insider, will be right back down at camp on Monday. Of course, he'll check in on Birds 365, his home, his Monday through Friday home. I know you missed the chair, but we love the morning reports at 8:20, John. We'll talk to you on Monday night. You and I will connect on Monday night after camp. We'll listen to you on Monday morning on Birds 365.
All right. Thanks, Krause. We made it through.
So we made it through the first 4 days of camp.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Good stuff from John McMullen. Xander, keep it here for a moment, if you will. I want to update all of our viewers just on two very important pieces of information. I think they're important anyway. Our Eagles season ticket giveaway. Next week, we'll be releasing the information. If you're a subscriber, you already qualify. A pair of Eagles season tickets for the 2021 season. We will release details next week. It's just the first of many opportunities and many experiences that we will provide across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. So we thank everyone for being a part of the ever-growing channel. Also, Monday, major programming announcement coming to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. We'll have that on Monday as well. Do look for the information. As you know, we have Birds 365 Monday through Friday, 8 to 10. Get caught in the middle with Eitan Shander, Harry Mays, and Barrett Brooks. And of course, the National Football Show every day, Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. with Dan Cilio. On Monday, more new programming coming from JAKIB Media. You're going to love it. And we'll have all of that information coming on Monday. Quick recap for everyone. If you picked up the live YouTube stream tonight a little bit late and you missed the opening segment, Devonta Smith goes down with a leg injury. The injury occurred during practice. Devonta making a receiver move to attempt to catch a low pass from Jalen Hurts. Back on the field, and the Eagles don't anticipate any negative story coming out of him being checked out. I guess that's the fair way to say it, but you heard our NFL insider, John McMullen, talk about it. That's going to do it for this Saturday night. We thank everyone, of course, for tuning in It is our day 4 recap from camp with Football 24/7 NFL insider John McMullen. Until next time, I'm Joe Krause. Good night, everyone.